What is up guys, it's your boy Swell. I'm here back with another Dragonflight Professions overview video. So this is a video series we're doing prior to the Lord of Dragonflight to actually check out the professions on the beta and show you guys what the professions look like. So basically moving from Shadowlands to Dragonflight, we have had some huge overhauls of the profession system, and some of the professions have been completely overworked, and some of them basically we have profession specializations and also just new crafts and new things to look at. The profession overhaul system has been massive, so some professions are changing massively, and in this video series I'm basically trying to show you guys what the professions currently look like. So today we're doing Inscription, so if you clicked on the video based on the title and the thumbnail, then you should know it's about Inscription by now. So yeah, we're talking about Dragonflight and Dragon Isles Inscription, and let's take a look at everything you can craft with Inscription, and then take a look at the specializations as well. Inscription is looking really good for Dragonflight, and specializations really matter this time around, so yeah, let's take a look at it. So for the recipes, you obviously have your regular stuff. You have milling as always. You can recraft equipment. Basically recrafting allows you to change optional reagents and the quality of some crafted equipment, so you can use some optional reagents as well to just specify stuff and things you want to craft. You have the usual inks, and here once again we can look at some of the fun things. So you can see for cosmic ink, for example, you do need some of the other types of ink, but you also need the iridescent water and awakened frost. So crafting inks will cost you awakened elementals, and you can see burnished inks just requires regular blazing ink, flourished inks, and serene ink, which are these ones all the way down here. And you can see for those you only need the pigments, which are gathered from herbs, but to actually craft the best ink possible you need awakened frost as well. So to actually use Inscription you will need a lot of these awakened elements, which are farmed in the open world of Dragonflight. So for reagents we have the illustrious insight. Basically in this one you can increase your skill by 30, you can spend your artisan's metal to make this one, and ruined wither bark you have some of the usual stuff as always. So you can craft this one, a sturdy piece of wither bark fastened with a frosted rune, crafted by players with the Inscription skill, and you can buy and sell this one on the auction house. So basically you can combine rousing air, wither bark, and flourishing inks and a chilled rune into this optional crafting reagent right here, and use that one for crafting or sell as well. You also have the chilled rune, which I just looked at right here, so you need one of them to craft the ruined wither bark, and to craft the chilled rune you will need 5 rousing frost and a serene ink, which is crafted all the way up here. So basically you have the same stuff as always. You can craft some reagents, you mill stuff, you craft inks with those pigments, and you also have the missives. So Draconic Missive of the Aurora, this one provides the following properties. So you can guarantee versatility and haste when you craft stuff. So if you have, for example, let's say tailoring, blacksmithing, or leatherworking, you can use a optional reagent to determine the secondary stats on the item, and this one right here will put that to versatility and haste. You also have the fever flare all the way down here. This one will put it to mastery and haste. You have the fire flash for critical strike and haste. You have the harmonious for versatility and mastery. You have Peerless for critical strike and mastery, and you have Quick Blade for haste, not haste, but versatility and critical strike. And then we have Trinkets. This is basically the big boy that everyone is talking about for Dragonflight, and it's always going to be the big money maker for Inscription at the beginning of a new expansion. Darkmoon Trinkets. So here we go. You can actually make a Darkmoon deck box. So you can make a trinket for yourself. You can see this one right here is bound when picked up, but this one also uses the regular trinket, which is bound when equipped. So you can make a bound when equipped item, the Darkmoon card, and sell that one, which is at 372 item level, or you can use it yourself and get a better one. So one of the actual bonuses here by having Inscription is that your Darkmoon card will be better than anyone else's, because you can make this one, use the BOE version, and craft the BOP version instead, giving that one to you. You also have the same thing for the Inferno as well, same thing once again. You can craft yourself a better one, but you can also make this one and sell that one. So you have the same thing for all the Darkmoon cards all the way down here. Another reason to be a scribe is that you can, for example, make yourself an offhand piece or also a staff, and you can see once again these are very high item level, so 389, and here we can see you can use optional reagents to infuse them with power, add embellishments, and once again customize the secondary stats. So Inscription, if you're using it to power up your character, it is going to be a very good profession to have for example, boomkins out there. They're using staffs, right? And also the Darkmoon card trinket, so you can make a better one off. So anyone who can use a staff as their main weapon will definitely benefit from having Inscription very early, because you get a good staff very early and a good trinket very early as well. So let's say, for example, here, just throwing some classes out there, but definitely the new Evoker, the new Drakthir and Evoker, they will really want this one because you can use a staff as well. So staff and trinket, boomkins, warlocks, mages, anyone really that uses staff as a main weapon, and also can benefit from these trinkets. The trinkets won't be best in slot for everyone, but they will be super good until you start raiding, because they are epic and you get a 386 item level. Okay, you can also check out all the way down here, you can actually make some and sell them as well, but they have a way lower item level. So you can see this one, you can sell a blue one. They're going to be really cheap to craft though, so at the beginning these could actually be worth crafting and selling. So 343 item level on a blue staff that you can actually sell on the auction house and sell to other players. So you have two of these, you have this one as well, which is a staff once again, but with agility instead of intellect. Okay, let's look at some runes and sigils. This is, I do think this is something new that is coming with Dragonflight, especially the sigils. So for example, for the Ember Scale sigil, provides the following property: your Darkmoon deck no longer has even cards. So whenever you're making Darkmoon cards, you can actually use this one to change what kind of cards you will be getting when you're making your cards. This will help you out massively when, let's say you craft like 20 cards, and by some bad RNG you get 10 of the same card, and now you're like, I don't want this card anymore. So you can use these items right here to predetermine kind of which cards you will get. So for the Ember Scale sigil, you will no longer get even cards when you're making those cards, and for Jet Scale sigil right here, your Darkmoon deck no longer shuffles when the ace is drawn, as an example. And Sage Scale sigil as well, your Darkmoon card deck only shuffles when you jump. And I just got disconnected, so BRB. Going back into the game though, we have the Azure Scale sigil, so your Darkmoon card now shuffles from greatest to least. You have the Bronze Scale sigil as well, so your Darkmoon deck shuffles faster. You also have the Vantus runes as usual. This one will provide you as a scribe with some steady income throughout the game, because people will always be using these ones. And then we have a couple of new things. So you remember the chilled runes you have to craft? You can use these chilled runes to make different types of runes. So Buzzing Rune right here increases your critical strike by 167 for 2 hours. You also have the Chirping Rune, giving you a chance to heal your target for more healing. You have the Howling Rune as well, which increases your haste by 167 for 2 hours. This is basically an optional consumable. Look at it like a flask, or a flask, potion, anything really. So you can consider this one used by raiders, for example, and people will definitely want to have this one with a high uptime as well. So Chilled Rune and crafting those into Howling Runes and Buzzing Runes is another way for scribes to get some steady income throughout the expansion, instead of just having their Vantus runes. So now you can make the Vantus rune and the Buzzing Rune as well. Now for scrolls, we have one scroll, which is the Illusion Parchment. Prevent all illusionary parchment spells from being cast on you for 30 minutes. So for professional equipment, we have some professional equipment as well, giving you plus inscription skill. This one plus some alchemy skill. Basically different crafting profession will be able to craft different professional equipments that you can equip across several different professions to make yourself better inside those professions. So for example, right here we have both for inscription and we have for alchemy, and we have the cooking one as well. And you can see as a scribe we get a better one for inscription as well, giving us more skill with inscription, which is good because the more skill you have past your max skill, the higher chances you have of crafting something that will actually be a better tier. So tier 1, tier 2 and tier 3 and so on. As for mysteries, we have the bundle of cards at Dragon Isles. This is where you make a Darkmoon card, right? So you tear this one open for some Darkmoon cards, and certain cards contains cards only native to the Dragon Isles. So making the bundle of cards, you'll be making several cards than just one, and you can just open these up and get a couple of them. So here you can see you're using a lot of awakened elementals, and here's one of the big things that is happening in Dragonflight compared to previous expansions. Darkmoon cards are always going to be massively profitable, but they usually use a lot of herbs, and this time around they don't. You can see right here the bundle of cards for Dragon Isles, which will give you Darkmoon cards, which you then combine for a deck and turn in for a trinket. There's not a single item here that is obtained from herbalism. Well, you get some awakened elementals from herbalism, but you get my point. There's no herbs involved. You use 3 awakened frost, 3 awakened fire, 3 awakened earth, 3 awakened air, and 3 awakened orders. So it's only awakened elementals and no herbs involved in making these Darkmoon cards for Dragon Isles. So yeah, Inscription has massive potential, but looking at this, you can see the actual necessity for awakened elementals is going to be massive, which is why these elementals will be in so much demand. And based on that, I do want to shout out my Dragonflight Gold Guide super quick here, because in this Gold Guide we have about 20 different farms based on these elementals that will be massively profitable from day 1. So by checking out this guide, you will have access to all of those gold farms from day 1, and we have found so many of them. Like right now there's over 40 different gold farms in that guide containing the best gold farms for Dragonflight. Some of them will be really good on day 1 because they're using launch mechanics to make a lot of gold, and I would be actually surprised if they don't make about 200k per hour, some of them. But yeah, check out that gold guide if you want to make a gold in Dragonflight, and let's get back into Inscription, baby. So we also have the Blazing Fortune, so Fortune cards are back this time around. We have the Blazing Fortune, Flourishing Fortune, and Serene Fortune as well, so you can use all the different types of inks to make some Fortune cards, basically just a way to gamble, and this is something that people loved to do back in the day, and this time around they're back, and I can only assume these cards will give you more raw gold than the previous ones. We also have Extraction, Awakened Air, so for example you can extract the flowing components from Darkmoon cards of air, and this will destroy the Darkmoon cards in the process. So yeah, you can destroy some cards, basically a salvaging mechanic to salvage different cards for different stuff. The last one that we can look at today is the Draconic Treatise on Inscription. Study this one to increase your Dragon Isles Inscription knowledge by 1. So for this one, you will use 10 Artisan's Metal, 1 Rockfang Leather, 1 Awakened Frost, and 1 Burnished Ink, as well as some Glittering Parchments. So basically this one is just a way to give yourself some more skill or some actual knowledge. And now that we're talking about knowledge, let's look at the specializations. This one is actually important for Inscription, probably more so than many other professions out there. So this is going to be a long video, but hopefully it's going to be helpful to some of you, and I'm trying to just speed through it a little bit at least. So first off, we have Rune Mastery. So for this one right here, you basically improve the art of Inscription, and utilizing various reagents, gaining +1 skill per point in the specialization. So basically giving yourself more skill, so +5 skill right here, +5 skill once again, learn a subspec, +5 skill, learn another subspec, +5 skill, another subspec, and here we go, crafting Inscription goods is 10% faster. You also gain 10 resourcefulness and 10 inspiration when making Inscription goods. At the last one, you get the last final subspec, and you also get 10 resourcefulness once again, and 10 inspiration, and learn to use finishing reagents to improve the crafting quality of your inks and runes. So you basically get better at Inscription overall, and you can use other reagents to actually improve your crafts. So as you learn some subspecs right here, so for example this one, Flawless Inks, you improve at crafting various inks used in Inscription, gaining +1 skill per point in the specialization, so +5 inspiration when making inks, and learn to use finishing reagents such as blotting sand to further improve your inks, +10 multicraft when crafting inks, +10 inspiration, +10 multicraft, and multicraft grants up to 50% extra inks. So this one means you will proc more inks, you will get more high quality inks as well, basically specializing yourself into making those inks, giving you more bang for your buck basically whenever you're making inks. And you can see the multicraft, that is basically, you understand, right? A multicraft, you have a chance to proc an additional one. So you can look at this one as, for example, if you would pull it back to, let's say, Potion Master from Alchemy, but this time it's like Ink Mastery for Inscription. So by improving yourself into Rune Mastery and going all the way down here into flawless inks, you can proc additional inks when making those. And as a inscription, like a lot of your gold, pretty much all of your gold comes from actual crafting inks, so the more inks you get per milled herb or per pigment, the more gold you will make. So this one actually super important for inscription. Next up then, we have the Understanding Flora. Improve at milling various herbs in the Dragonflight, gaining +1 skill per point in the specialization, so +5 resourcefulness when milling Dragon Isles herbs, +10 multicraft, +10 resourcefulness, +20 multicraft, and milling is 10% faster and 10 resourcefulness as well. So by combining these two right here, you will get more pigments when milling the herbs, and you will get more inks when crafting those pigments into inks. So these two right here are an absolute necessity if you ask me, if you're going to be milling stuff and crafting those inks. So if you're going to be milling stuff and crafting inks, try to go for these two as fast as humanly possible, which requires you to get some points into this spec right here. So for example, you learn your first sub-spec right here, and you learn the next one up here as well. So basically by having 20 skills here, and 20 here, and 20 here, so 60 knowledge points in total, you will have these right away, and getting 16 actually goes pretty fast. Next up then, Infinite Discovery. So this one right here, become a more inspired scribe, gaining +1 inspiration per point, and inscription grants 5% additional skill when crafting inscription goods. You also get 10 inspiration, and inspiration grants 10% additional skill, and also +10 inspiration. Inspiration gains 10% skill once again, +10 inspiration, and inspiration grants 25% additional skill all the way down here. So whenever you're crafting goods within inscription, this one is absolutely necessary to have. You will get more quality stuff, and yeah, basically more quality stuff. For the last one then, inside the Rune Mastery, we have the Perfect Practice. For this one, you craft items more effectively, gaining +1 resourcefulness, using less resources per craft, saving you gold, which also means you're making gold. So resourcefulness saves 5% additional reagents when crafting inscription goods, and this is the first one. And then you also get 10 resourcefulness. You get resourcefulness once again, saving 10% additional reagents this time around, +10 resourcefulness, and resourcefulness saves another 10%, and 10 resourcefulness once again, and at the end resourcefulness saves another 25% goods whenever you're crafting. So by having all of these talents right here, you will spend a lot less materials per craft. Once again, you're spending less gold per craft, and making more profit per craft. Okay, the next one is probably the big one for inscription right now. So as you start your inscription journey, you actually don't have access to Darkmoon cards, and you have to go into archiving to get your Darkmoon card craft. So over here, archiving, improve at the arts of archiving various texts, gaining +1 skill per point in the specialization. Archiving goods includes, for example, Darkmoon deck boxes, contracts, missives, draconic treatises, and scaled sigils. So over here, learn to use optional reagents to upgrade item levels on the Darkmoon deck boxes, which I just showed you in the beginning of the video, where you can make a better card box for yourself, making it bound on pickup, but also giving you a lot more item level. +5 inspiration, learn a sub-spec, +5 resourcefulness, learn another sub-spec once again, +5 inspiration, and archiving crafts are 5% faster, learn the final sub-spec, and learn to use finishing reagents, such as blotting sand, to further improve your archiving crafts. Next up then, the sub-specs. This is where it starts getting interesting. So you have the Darkmoon Mysteries. Specialize in understanding the mysteries surrounding Darkmoon cards and crafting Darkmoon deck boxes, getting +1 skill per point in this specialization. So this is where you learn to craft Darkmoon cards. So here we go, the first point you spend, learn to craft bundle of cards, Dragon Isles. This is where you actually learn that craft, so you have to go into archiving, get some points right into here, and pick this one as soon as possible if you want to make Darkmoon cards. You also get +5 skill when crafting Darkmoon deck boxes, learn a sub-spec once again, so you have 4 different sub-specs within this sub-spec. You'll get 5% skill, 5 skill, 10 multi-craft. This one is huge. Imagine you're crafting Darkmoon cards, and you're proccing additional cards as well. That is massive. You also get 10% faster crafts and 10 inspiration. You learn a sub-spec once again and plus 20 multi-craft this time around. Learn to use reagents like blotting sands and pounds to further improve your crafts, and also learn the final sub-spec and plus 40 multi-craft. So by the end here you will have a lot of multi-craft chances, giving you a lot more cards per craft and having the possibility of proccing more cards as well. This one absolutely massive, huge gold making opportunities. Let's check out the sub-specs. So right here, for example, become an expert in Darkmoon Cards of Fire, as well as craft a more powerful version of the Darkmoon deck Inferno, gaining plus 1 point per skill in the specialization. So here you will learn to craft the Darkmoon deck box Inferno. You also increases the chance to find the Darkmoon Cards of Fire. So by sub-specializing into this one, you will have a higher chance to get the fire cards instead of the other one, and you can learn to bind powerful scale sigils that customize how your deck shuffles the cards that we just looked at the beginning of the video. You also gain plus 5 skill. You learn how to extract awakened fire from Darkmoon cards. So if you find any cards you don't want to have, you can extract those for awakened fire, like I just showed you in the beginning of the video, where you can use the salvaging mechanic to salvage Darkmoon cards for awakened elements. You also gain plus 10 skill and learn how to use the illustrious insight finishing reagent to improve skill when crafting the Inferno deck box. So here we have the same thing for Frost once again, all the same things, learning how to craft, increasing the chance to craft, and learning how to do stuff once again. Same thing for Frost, same thing for Air, and the same thing for Earth as well. Basically increasing your chances to find that one and making a better trinket for yourself. So specialize into the one that you think is the best one. Personally, I think both Fire and the Air are going to be massive, so have a look at those two. They are probably going to be the best ones. So next up then we have the shared knowledge. Specialize into in efficiency, efficiently sharing knowledge regardless of the dragon regarding the Dragon Isles throughout the contracts, missives, and treatises, gaining plus 1 resourcefulness per point in the specialization. So here you get plus 5 resourcefulness, plus 5 resourcefulness once again, learning a sub-spec, there's only 2 this time around, plus 5 resourcefulness and plus 10 multicraft, learning the final sub-spec, and also shared knowledge crafts are 5% faster, plus 5 resourcefulness, and learn to craft and use the illustrious insight finishing reagent to improve skill when making shared knowledge crafts. At the end, they are 10% faster, and you get 10 resourcefulness once again. So contracts and missives, you become an expert at crafting Dragon Ice contracts and missives, gaining plus 1 skill per point in a specialization. If you've been playing retail expansions before, you know contracts and missives are usually a hidden gold mine where you can make a lot of gold super quickly by getting the reputations as fast as possible yourself. So this one could be massive. Plus 5 inspiration, making higher quality, and they are 10% faster, plus 5 inspiration once again, plus 5 inspiration, and 10% faster, and some inspiration once again. And at the end we have plus 20 multicraft and plus 10 inspiration when making contracts and missives. Okay, becoming an expert at crafting draconic treatises associated with various professions, gaining plus 1 resourcefulness per point spent right here as well. This one, learn how to craft the draconic treatise on inscription, and to discover additional treatises while crafting them. You also craft them 10% faster, plus 5 resourcefulness, and once again disconnecting. What is happening today? Okay, so yeah, you get 10 multi-craft, you craft them 10% faster, and plus 5 resourcefulness once again, and at the end they are 5% faster, and you get 10 resourcefulness. So scale sigils, you specialize into crafting scale sigils that alter the shuffling effects of your Darkmoon deck box, gaining plus 1 skill per point in a specialization. So if you're doing Darkmoon decks, I do think it's going to be best for you to get these ones first and then specialize it into fire and the air, for example, and then start going into scale sigils as fast as possible. They will help you target different types of cards to get when you're crafting. So at the start you will learn a subspec right away, another subspec once again, basically getting lots of subspecs, and you also get +1 skill per point in the specialization, and at the end you will learn the final subspec and learn to craft and use the illustrious insight finishing reagent to improve skill whenever you're crafting these sigils. So over here you will basically learn all those sigils we talked about at the beginning of the video. So this one, learning how to craft a jet scale sigil, and also gaining some inspiration and doing the same thing for all the sigils that we talked about at the beginning of the video, so feel free to go and check that one out. So rune binding, the last one for today. Rune binding, improve at the art of binding runic items that provide both crafting and combat utility, gaining +1 skill per point in the subspec, and rune binding goods include profession tools, staves, codexes, vantage runes, and fauna runes. This one, absolutely massive, once again, +1 skill, +5 skill all the way down here, +5 skill. Learn how to craft Scribe's Resplendent Squill, +10 inspiration, and learn how to craft and use the same finishing tool once again. So here we can specialize into either wood carving or runic scripture. Let's check out wood carving first. So specialize into the binding complex runes into staves and profession tools, gaining +1 skill per point in the specialization. Here you will learn to use optional reagents to specify the secondary stats on various wood carving tools. You also get +5 inspiration, learning a subspec, +5 inspiration, once again learning another subspec, and also they are 10% faster and 10 inspiration, and at the end you will get +10 skill overall when crafting wood carving goods. So here you can specialize into either staves or profession tools. So personally I would probably go for staves, but profession tools are also very good. So for staves you become an expert at crafting powerful two-handed staves, gaining +1 skill whenever you're crafting those. So here you will learn how to craft the kinetic pillar of the isles, you will learn how to craft the different types of staves basically, 10 inspiration, +10 inspiration and resourcefulness, +10 skill, and learning how to use the finishing reagent once again to improve the skill, and +10 inspiration at the end. For profession tools you have the same thing again, +5 skill, +5 skill, learning how to craft Scribe's Resplendent Squill, and +10 inspiration, and learn how to craft and use the same finishing reagent once again to make your crafts actually better. So runic scripture, specialize into carving runic sigils into powerful pieces of equipment, such as codexes, vantage runes, and fauna runes, gaining +1 skill per point in this specialization. So here you will learn how to use the optional reagents to specify the secondary stats on various codexes. You will get +5 inspiration, learning a subspec, +10 inspiration, learning a subspec, and runic scripture goods craft 10% faster, +10 inspiration once again, and at the end you will get the last final subspec and +10 skill once again. Then you can either specialize into vantage runes, fauna runes, or codexes. So if we go back to the recipes over here, you have different types of codexes all around, you have different types of sigils, runes. Here we have some of the runes, so buzzing runes, we have the vantage runes, and yeah, we have a lot of the stuff over here that you can basically take a look at. We have the Scribe's Fastened Quill as well, the professional items that you can craft all the way over here. So as you skill up inscription, this is not what it's going to look like. You learn a lot of these crafts by actually doing your specializations. You don't have all of the missives, you don't have the Darkmoon deck box crafts, you also don't have the weapons, you don't have many of the sigils or the runes. You learn those through your specialization. So choosing a specialization is super important here, and to sum this video up at the end, I do want to say once again, Darkmoon cards are learned by archiving. So if you want to make Darkmoon cards and make gold that way, definitely pick archiving as soon as possible. Get some talent into this one so you learn the subspec as soon as possible, which is about 15 talent points or skill points deep into archiving. You will learn a subspec, so archiving right here, just go all in on this subspec. I think it's about 10 points to get here, so 10 points for a subspec, 20 for the next one, and 30 for the last one. So by getting getting yourself 10 skill points or knowledge points, you will learn the subspec. So by the time you have 11 points, you can start making Darkmoon cards, and then you will get multi-craft as well as you skill through this tree. So try to skill through this exact tree as soon as possible, just to get as much multi-crafting as possible, to make as many cards as once again possible. And then I will specialize into either fire or air, and then start using the scale sigils to alter my cards when I make those decks. And yeah, that is basically it for Inscription. A long video for Inscription, but it's a very big profession, probably one of the biggest ones for gold making out there, especially now that you have so many different things that you will have access to through these specializations, which are, once again, they are actually time gated. So when you are leveling up, you will get 1 Dragon Isles Inscription knowledge the first time you craft anything. So it's worth crafting every single craft at least once, because for the first craft you will learn something new, and you will also get 1 knowledge point. So crafting everything once will give you 1 knowledge point per craft, and you will also get them from your trainer as well. So if you take a look at it right here, this one, yeah, knowledge can be gained through various means, such as crafting recipes for the first time and completing quests offered to you in the Artisans Market in Valdrakken. So you can do some daily quests, weekly quests, whatever, to get those knowledge points, and you get them for crafting everything once. So to get here as soon as possible, do those quests as soon as possible, and craft everything you have access to at least once, and that way you will get your skill points super fast, and you can start making Darkmoon cards. Either way, I hope you enjoyed the video, I hope it taught you something about Inscription, and if nothing else, I hope it just gave you an overview of what the profession looks like in Dragonflight, and now you're more prepared than you were previously. It's about a half an hour video now, so I think I'm going to stop it there, but hopefully you enjoyed. Let me know in the comment section down below which profession I should be doing next, if there's anything you want me to see do different about the formula, or yeah, how I do these videos. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in Dragonflight. Peace out, guys.